By this point, you've probably heard about AI agents. You've probably been told that you need to implement them into your business. You need to figure out how to drive up your efficiency, how to drive up your profitability, and you're looking to get started, but you probably haven't been told what your specific options are. Like, how do you actually go about building these AI agents? What are the platforms that you use? What are the considerations that you need to take into account? So in this video, we're going to be going over exactly that. I've broken down AI agents into 4 different categories. I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each different category and their use case, as well as the price. And I'm also going to provide some analysis on AI agents that I've tried and that I'm currently using in businesses that I run. Everything that I go over is going to be on a free Notion document. It's going to be inside of a free school community. You can check that out. And if you're looking to have somebody do everything for you, to audit your business, to build out the AI workflows for you and just give your agents to you, like done for you, book an AI audit. The link for that will also be in the description. So let's go ahead and get into it. Once again, this is brought to you by Integral Agents. We design and deploy agents for businesses. But when it comes to getting started with agents, you need to understand the 4 types of agents, or at least the 4 types that we're going to cover that I think are the most applicable for businesses right now in 2026. So we have general work and automation agents. These are your Claude Codes, your Claude Coworks, your Codexes. These are agents that are made by Frontier Labs that can do a variety of different things. We have your self-hosted personal agents. These are like the OpenClaws, the Hermes agents. These are the free open source agents that you bring your own LLM and basically you plug it in, and it also has access to a lot of tools to get a lot of functionality. You have voice agents. These are things like Vappy, like Bland, like 11 Labs agents. Basically anything that involves phone calls and conversations, these agents excel at. And then you have your CRM embedded agents. This is a special category. I just have go high level in here because they're the main, CRM that's really dedicated themselves to implementing AI heavily into their product. First on this list, we have Claude Code under general work and automation agents. And when you hear the name Claude Code, you're probably thinking, oh, it's a coding tool. Oh, it's for software developers to write code faster. And that's initially what it was intended for. But what Anthropic actually built was a piece of software that could take regular language, whether you speak to it, whether you type to it, it could take this regular language and it could basically use tools to basically accomplish any sort of functionality that you could do with a computer. So you had something incredibly powerful beyond just writing software. Like you had something that could talk to Gmail, it can talk to Slack, it can create Notion documents, it can create Google documents, it can update CRMs, it can even edit videos or create static images depending on which tools you give it. So you have something that's extremely powerful, and non-developers realized this and started implementing it. And we saw through 2025 and 2026 so far, people have been transforming it into an automation tool and using the natural language abilities and the coding abilities to basically accomplish whatever they want in terms of business functionality. So you have business owners who use it for CRM management, for inbox management, for automating tasks, for turning data into reports, creating spreadsheets, creating Word documents, for basically running sales processes, for creating content or for repurposing content, for generating ad creatives, or just for creating sites, which is truer to its initial purpose. But the use cases are really endless. Now, when it comes to setting up Claude Code particularly, you do have to open a terminal. That does frighten some people because they don't have a technical background, but it's really very simple. It's very few steps, and for the amount of power that you get from using Claude Code, the setup is well worth it. And you can get started for $20 a month. You just need a Claude Pro plan. A Claude Pro plan is more than enough for a lot of the automations that business owners really need and are really looking for. If you need more compute, more tokens, then you can upgrade to like your max plans, which are range from $100 to $200. That's Claude Code. Next, we have Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork is an even simpler version of Claude Code. So it has similar functionalities in that you talk to it in natural language and it gets things done for you using tools. But instead of you kind of manually configuring which tools it has, Claude Cowork comes with these tools built in. So it has Google functionalities built in. All you have to do is sign in and grant access to your account, and boom, it can do whatever. It has Notion capabilities built in. So that's how I got the rough draft of this Notion document that we're going through. I used Claude Cowork, and I basically gave it an overview of what I wanted, and it spit out a rough draft, and then I worked with it to get to what I wanted to get to as far as my final result. So once again, there's a lot of functionality you can do. The setup is easier. An actual business use case I have outside of creating documents, I use Claude Cowork in order to scrape Instagram to find creators to reach out to about retainers to promote my app. So this is taking advantage of another tool that Claude Cowork has, which is browser control. So you can basically let it control any Google browser using an extension called Claude in Chrome, which I have set up. And basically I have it set up to open Instagram, to navigate Instagram, and basically scroll through posts, look for certain keywords, find creators, check them for certain view thresholds, and to check for emails in their bio, and then to collect these emails and put them into a Google Sheet. So this is something that saves me hours of time, and it's an easy example of how you can use Claude Cowork in your business to make yourself more efficient and to save time and money. Once again, you can use Claude Cowork starting with the $20 plan. I'm currently on the $100 plan. Because that basically allowed me to run my little Instagram scraper like unlimited in an unlimited amount, which is what I needed. So next on this list, we have Codex. Codex is very similar to Claude Code, but it's OpenAI's version. Once again, you have something that was initially created to help developers, but the fact that it has the ability to set up all these different APIs and run all these different functionalities makes it incredibly powerful to anybody who's looking to be more productive, who's looking to automate things like inbox management, like turning data into reports, like managing a sales motion, managing communication, repurposing content, or generating content or creating sites. And Codex is even easier than Claude Code because it doesn't require you to download it in Terminal and use it in Terminal. You can use it straight on the OpenAI website, or you can download the Codex application, which is a more simple way. It's more similar to using Claude Cowork. You just download the application and talk to it. So extremely easy to set up, extremely powerful. You can start with a $20 a month plan and upgrade as needed. Okay, so those are your automation agents that were originally intended for coding purposes. Now we have your self-hosted personal agents. So these are tools like OpenClaw and Hermes Agent. And these basically have all the same functionalities as the automation agents, but they have the ability to run 24/7, and you have a lot more control over scheduling these agents and the amount of tasks that you can schedule them and have them do. And you also have the ability to switch out which models you want to use. So you can use the same models that are running Codex and the same models that are running Claude Code. You can use Fable if you want. You can use Opus 4.8, or you can use GPT 5.6 Soul inside your personal hosted agents. But you can also use cheaper options. You can use DeepSeek, or you can use GLM 5.2, or you can use Minimax M3. You can use these open weight Chinese models, which will be significantly cheaper. And then the OpenClaw software and the Hermes agent, they're both free and open source. So you literally just have to download them. Now, these agents really shine when it comes to 24/7 customer support. So I have a throne chair rental business. You can probably see one of the throne chairs in the background, but I use a Hermes agent to basically handle all queries when it comes to checking availability or checking about events that are scheduled. These agents really shine at 24/7 customer support. You can give them access to an email and basically let them respond to customers. You can give them a knowledge base and a prompt as far as how to handle these inquiries that come in, and basically just let them do what they do. And it's extremely powerful. But the same way the Claude codes and the codexes can access any API and basically do any functionality, the same thing applies to your self-hosted personal agents. They can manage CRMs for you. They can respond to emails for you. They can create content for you, whether that be static images for ads, whether that be short videos that you use with a video provider like Seedance. They can do it all. Basically anything that you can do on the internet. If you can get an API key, give it access to, or give your agent access to it, your agent can get it done at various levels of proficiency, depending on which models you're using and how good your prompts are and how good your instructions are. Now, when it comes to setting up these tools, it's moderately difficult. It's more difficult than something like Claude. It's definitely more difficult than something like Codex or Claude Cowork, where you literally just install the application and start talking to it. But it's also more difficult than something like Claude Code. Once again, you use the terminal to set up these agents, but there are more commands than just setting up Claude Code. So it does require taking a little bit of time to do some research, figure out what you're doing. And then from a security perspective, you definitely need to make sure that you're doing your research. You need to make sure that you understand how to do this responsibly. Like, you have an agent that you're giving access to a bunch of different API keys to do a bunch of different tasks. And then you're also setting basically loose in the internet, where it can run across all types of malicious instructions that could instruct it to do things that you don't want it to do. So you need to do some research on basically how to set it up properly and safely. I have a paid school community where I teach how to set these agents up, OpenClaw and Hermes agents specifically, in a safe way. Also in a free way where you can run it on a server for free using Oracle. That'll also be in the description. Once again, the two options are Hermes Agent and OpenClaw. Hermes Agent is more so the self-improving agent. So think about basically an AI agent that takes your instructions, looks over the task that it's doing, and then kind of saves information to make itself better when it runs these tasks in the future. And it just gets better and better and better in a self-improvement loop. That's the real power of Hermes Agent. When it comes to OpenClaw, this is just, they were first to market. They built the larger community. They have more hype. They have more users. And as a result, they have a bigger ecosystem. So there's more options when it comes to just installing different plugins directly to your OpenClaw to do different functionalities. You just have a wider option. But some of these options are also, they're kind of malicious. They're intended to basically steal your API keys or to install malicious software. So you have to be careful if you're tapping into this large community that you're getting verified, you're downloading verified skills that aren't going to do anything bad to your agent. Okay, so those are your self-hosted personal agents. Next, we have voice agents. So anything that requires phone calls, voice agents are your go-to. These are agents that are extremely low latency, like they're extremely quick. They sound very natural. And you can basically give them a knowledge base and a prompt, and they can basically handle customers the same way you or an employee would, except 24/7, and they never miss a call. So extremely powerful if you run a business where communication is very important. You're talking to a lot of customers, you have leads coming in, you can't afford to miss leads. These agents work very well. And they also have the ability to send off tasks to more powerful agents on the back end. Say like a 24/7 agent, you can have that set up listening, and then when a voice agent gets a certain request or a certain question, it can send off that question to a more powerful agent that can perform a workflow and return an answer to a voice agent. So now you're getting into something that's more complicated to set up, but it's an extremely powerful use case, and definitely the future of using agents in general for businesses. So when it comes to using voice agents, you have three different options. Or not three, you have way more than three options, but I've included three on here. These are kind of some of the top three. You have Vappy, you have Bland, and then you have 11 Labs. 11 Labs agents. Basically, all of these agents are using 11 Labs voices. So 11 Labs agents is really the source. It's also the easiest to set up. But all of them are relatively easy to set up. You just upload a knowledge base, you upload a prompt, you might give it like an initial message when it answers the phone, and then they basically out the box can start taking calls and start handling things the way you want them to. Pricing, they can range from like 8 cents per minute up to about 30 cents per minute. So you can play around, do some research, figure out which one works for you best. Lastly, we have CRM embedded agents. So if you already use Go High Level, then this might be like a no-brainer. This is just like the AI functionality that Go High Level has built into the CRM that they already have. They already had the ability to automate a lot of communication with customers, whether that be through text, whether that be through email. They already had these functionalities. These reputation management functionalities where you can ask people for reviews. They had all of that built in, and then they just incorporated AI on top of that. So now you have basically AI agents that are built into this platform, and you don't have to set it up the way you have to set up a project like Codex or Claude Code. It's more so just like straight out the box, you start using it. There still is like the learning curve of actually learning the Go High Level software, but it's a different type of interface for using AI functionality that some people might prefer. But this is definitely going to be the most expensive. It's going to run you anywhere from $100 to $500 a month. So now we've went over the 4 different options. How do you choose which is most applicable to your business? So basically, you just need to consider what use cases do you really want. Do you just have a couple of tasks that you just want to run a couple of times a day, that you don't really need running 24/7 or to constantly be scheduling jobs for these tasks? If this is the case, then you can use something like Claude Cowork or Codex. They both work extremely well for like one-off tasks that you only need to run like a handful of times, and you're fine running them manually, or you're fine with just scheduling them to run like once a day. This is where Claude Code and Claude Cowork really shines. If you need something like customer support that's constantly listening for inquiries coming in and responding automatically, this is where you need your 24/7 agents. If you want full control over your AI stack, you want to use the models that you want to use. You also want your AI to run on your own schedule. You want to be able to schedule it to run whenever. You want it to run as long as you want. You might want to have a bunch of different sub agents split off working on their own. This is where the 24/7 agents really shine. The personal agents like your Hermes agents and your OpenClaws, and you can really get value from them. If you need phone support, your go-to is a voice agent. Like we mentioned, 11 Labs agents is kind of like the source and the cheapest option and the easiest to set up. And then if you're already familiar with Go High Level, or you don't want to like mess around with setting up a terminal or trying to figure out API keys and stuff, then you can use Go High Level, and you can use the functionality that they have built into their platform. And then here is a quick comparison chart. So Hopefully this video was helpful. Once again, the whole document will be in the Skool community. If you're curious about basically getting an AI audit to figure out where AI could fit into your business, book that in the description. And if you want to figure out how to get started building OpenClaw and Hermes agents, then check out the paid Skool community.